All right. So just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. We're in our Get Copilot Ready SMB briefing. Quick house cleaning when everybody jumps on. Any questions, drop in the chat, and we'll get to everybody and all their questions at the end. If we don't have time, we have your emails when you subscribe, and we'll actually shoot out answers to any questions you guys may have. Hopefully, the next time we do a more interactive presentation. But also be aware that in the middle of this presentation, I'm going to stop and supply a QR code. The QR code allow you to see if you qualify for a free Copilot license, depending on the size of the company and your engagement. We have the ability to give out one free Copilot license. This to engage companies truly interested in enabling AI for the organization to get their hands in there and play around and see what it's about before they're deployed fully within the company. So keep engaged and look out for that survey. I'll mention it later on when I do the presentation. With all that said, let's jump right on in. Well, welcome. It's great to have everybody here today. We're at our Copilot Ready for Small and Medium Business. My name is Wayne Roy, and I'm a Microsoft Strategic Consultant. I'm actually with Troynet, and we help companies automate and simplify the adoption of Microsoft technology within their companies. We're the smarts that make things happen. Well, I'm here to help you understand how Copilot can help you unleash the power of AI in your organization and prepare your company for the future and how we're going to be working. So again, feel free, drop any questions in the chat. And if I have time at the end, I'll answer any questions you may have about AI, Copilot, or any of the prerequisites you might want to consider when you're looking to adopt AI into the organization. So let me go over the agenda for today. What we're going to be going over is what is AI and the new norm we're living in? How is Microsoft addressing the challenge of AI? What exactly is Microsoft Copilot? And I'm going to go through a demo of Microsoft Copilot. I'm going to shift up a little bit today. We're going to do a little bit of a video, but I'm also going to stop and actually do a live hands-on presentation of how you can kind of use Copilot in your day-to-day and some of the platforms you have. So keep tuned to that. But right now, let's talk about what is the new norm. We're living in a time and history where technology is actually changing every aspect of how we work and actually how we live today. Our industries are being reshaped and our economy is changing and shifting. And AI is the driving force behind a lot of the change we see, and it's creating a lot of opportunities as well as a lot of challenges for companies of all sizes. As we can see, technology has always been a driving force for innovation and transformation in every industry in all the sectors. Think about how the innovation of the printing press actually revolutionized the spread of information and knowledge, or how the Industrial Revolution actually enabled mass production and consumption, and how the internet and the cloud changed the way we communicate and actually collaborate with each other. These are examples of how technology enabled new ways of creating value and delivering solutions. As you can see, looking at this slide, it's amazing to me when I look at this that we've had the most change in 1 century compared to the 9 centuries prior to that 1900. You can see this steep curve of how technology has enabled us to grow and expand and actually increase our overall global economy just within 1 century. Artificial intelligence is actually going to be the next frontier that's coming up. And it's going to give the ability of machines to perform tasks that normally requires human intelligence and understanding and language. It's going to recognize images. It's going to solve problems. It's going to learn from the data we have. It's not a single technology, but a collection of tools and methods can be applied to various challenges that allow you to solve problems. AI can help us diagnose diseases. It's going to detect fraud. It's going to recommend products. It's going to be able to translate language and a lot more. AI has the potential to automate the tedious tasks that we normally don't like to do, the repetitive tasks. It's going to allow us to optimize the process we have within our companies and generate new insights and ideas and concepts. There was a report that came out, I think it's from PwC, if I'm having it right, and it says AI could actually contribute to over 15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. That's more than the current output of China and India combined. So think of the growth and change we've had in the last few centuries, how one century has changed so much. So what's going to happen with the next century with the enablement of AI and the impact it's going to have on our economy, on our business, on our lifestyles? So AI is not a distant future, but it's actually right now, it's present, and it's transforming every aspect of our society and our economy. If this graph well is pretty amazing to me. If you look at this, and this is talking about adoption, how quickly people will jump on and start using new technology. And they pulled about 100 million users. And we think about how great the mobile phone is, but it took 16 years to get 100 million users to adopt the mobile phone. It took 7 years for the internet. It took 4.5 years for Facebook. It took ChatGPT 3 months to have 100 million users. So AI is is moving forward by leaps and bounds. And the adoption rate and the embracing of AI technology is faster than any other technology we've ever had in the past. So AI is here. AI is already helping us find information. If you know it or not, it's helping you shop online. When you watch videos and you play video games, there's some type of AI enabled in that. AI is also becoming more accessible and affordable. And that's thanks to advances we have in our computing technology and software development. And also the fact we have great availability of data, which is paramount for AI because AI is driven by data. At one time, AI was only available to researchers or experts, but now it's available to everyone due the influx of the new software being developed, as well as the technology of computers and how accessible processing and storage and computing power is right now. So as AI becomes more advanced and accessible, it'll actually enable new ways of creating value and delivering solutions. One of the most exciting and well as promising application of AI is the ability to generate content and data that can be used for various purposes. You can create content like text, images, videos, audio, and those things can be used for marketing, for education, for entertainment, as well as for communication. The new norm will be AI generated, meaning that you need to adapt to the changing landscape of creation and consumption. For example, you need to understand how AI can help you create value and deliver solutions, as well as how AI can challenge your existing value proposition and your competitive advantages in the market. The future economy and growth will be in AI, meaning that your company needs to leverage power and the potential for AI to stay competitive in the market, and also how to be innovative in the market. You need to invest in AI skills. You need to invest in infrastructure and governance, as well as seek advice from AI partners, providers, and regulators, because you can't know everything about AI, and you have to have people that understand the underlying things that you need to leverage AI and how to get it to work and impact your business and your company. And another item is your company will also need to align your company's strategy, your vision, your mission, and your values around AI, because it's going to be such a differentiator moving forward within a company and a business and how it operates. So let's talk about what AI is not. Well, AI is not a magic bullet. It doesn't solve any problems and it doesn't do all tasks. It's not a single technology that can apply to any challenge. It's not a human-like intelligence that can understand, reason, and communicate like we do. It's not us. No. There's a misconception of AI and its capabilities that can lead to like unrealistic expectations or fears of AI. Some people think that AI can do everything better than humans, or that AI can work on any problems without human guidance. That is absolutely incorrect. AI, a good way to think about it is AI is garbage in and garbage out. If you give bad information to it, you're going to get bad information out of it. So let's talk about what can AI do for you. Well, AI is truthfully a collection of tools. It's not just one thing. It's a collection of tools and methods can be applied to a specific challenge. It's a machine-like intelligence that can perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, but in different ways and with different limitations. It is like a partner or an assistant that can help augment what you do in your day-to-day tasks. So by understanding what AI is not, you can have a more realistic and balanced view of what AI is and what it can actually do for you. And you can also avoid the pitfalls of overestimating or underestimating the technology and instead focus on how you can use AI effectively as well as responsibly when you use it in your company. So let's talk about how is Microsoft addressing the challenge. So what is the current challenge that we have? Right now, you hear a lot of Gemini, ChatGPT, a lot of people getting the free version of the AI out there and they're using it. There's a big challenge with security out there because anything you just out into the internet, any query, say if you take your personal IP, intellectual property that is, and you say, you know what, I need to build a business plan around this, I'm going to use AI, something like ChatGPT. That information, that company information, that personal information ingesting into the AI system, that data now is reusable by anybody else that uses that platform. Your data, your information now free and available to everyone else out there. See, that's a problem out there that you have to really consider of what things you're giving away when you use AI that's in the public domain. That's something that Microsoft is really trying to address and figure out. Hey, how do we now use data, but use data in a way that is usable, is productive, but also secure, and you can silo out information that's being shared, because that is the threat of AI of, hey, it can now pull from anything, and I can have anybody in my company use that to find information that they shouldn't have and query across it. So let me kind of go through the Microsoft ecosystem, and then I'll talk to you about how they're now addressing the concerns of AI and what it can and can't do and what it can and cannot see. But I want to give everybody at least a foundation. Some of you may already know this, but I want to go through everybody. Say, when we have a dialogue, we talk about AI, we're all talking from the place of understanding. And when we say certain things, everybody understands and is on the same plane. So first thing I want to go through is, as you see, this is Microsoft ecosystem. It has all the same components everybody else would have. You'll see large language module. You're going to hear that often. Large language model, or you may hear LLM. Okay. A large language model is like a super smart assistant that understands and generates human language. So imagine having a conversation with someone who knows a lot about almost everything and can help you write, answer questions, and even create stories. And the LLM learns by reading a massive amount of text, and it picks up patterns and how words and sentences are used. So when you ask it something or you give it a task, is use what it's learned to understand what you're asking or what you need. Then it generates a response based on all the information it's learned. This response aims to be as helpful and relevant as possible. So that's what the large language model does. That's a component of the AI system. You'll hear another thing called NLP, natural language processing. That's the technology that helps machines make sense of what we're saying or writing and respond in a way that makes sense to us. I'll give you a good example. I guarantee through this presentation, my wording may have been off with one or two words. Okay, I'm not great with my S's and my F's. They normally get slurred when I speak it. So if you don't have something like natural language processing, it understands errors. For example, I'll type something out and I have tons of errors in what I type. it has the ability to understand what I'm trying to say. Just like you listening to me speak, even though I may have errors in the language, whether I say something grammatically incorrect or I may miss a word, you can interpret what I mean by the context. So that's what large language processing allows you to do. You've seen these things like in Siri or Alexa, where you use devices and you put things in, you see the autocorrect on words that you put in. That's natural language processing. Okay, if you use your phone keyboard that suggests next words or corrects the spellings, when you chat with the customer service online, NLP helps those chatbots understand your questions and provide useful responses. Even with minor errors, it'll pick up on and correct. Okay, so let me talk about another item, but this is specific to Microsoft. You'll see in this diagram, you have something called Microsoft Graph. What Microsoft Graph is, it's like the behind the scene coordinator that makes sure all of your Microsoft tools are talk to each other and work in harmony. And I explain to you in a moment why that's important. Okay, it's a tool that connects all the different Microsoft services like Outlook, Word, Excel, Teams, OneDrive, so it can work together more effectively. Remember, we talked about AI requiring data, where it's reading everything. Microsoft Graph is like the library that you go to and gives you access to tons and tons of different books, from science fiction to biography. Graph is the thing that the main library that now pulls information from Word, Team, Excel. So those things can be accessible and you can correlate responses based on that. But we have to be very clear. I'm going to outline that more later, that what Microsoft is doing great, they're containing that specific to your tenant. What a tenant is the space that your company works in. Remember, we talk about the threats when we talk about using something like the open source AIs, where whatever you put in goes to everybody. Well, when you're working in a Microsoft tenant and Microsoft Graph, the only thing there is the thing specific to your company. Nothing will ever go outside of your company, and nothing from the inside will ever come in unless you bring it in and allow it to come in to your company. So it's almost like having the locks on the door for your company. Whatever you do within your organization is specific to them unless you open the door and allow something to go out. Okay. So if you have a meeting within your company, it's to your meeting. But if you go out to a cafe and you guys are loud and talking, that's like going into open source. You're just talking out in the wind and out in the public. So Microsoft is keeping your data private, would now allow you to use AI in a safe and secure manner. Hopes that helps everybody. So let's talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot. Okay. Again, Microsoft Copilot is there to address the gaps we have with controlling the data that AI has, making sure that when you do communicate with AI and when you do create content, you can now keep it within your organization, within your company, and within the tenant for the Microsoft environment. So they're now enabling AI, but they're enabling AI so you can now use it specific to your company and not have that thing broadcast out into the wild and into the internet. I'm going to jump and let's see if we can get to, okay, I don't have the slide here, but let me talk a little bit about the different flavors of Copilot. There's Copilot Free, there's Copilot Pro, and there's Copilot for Business. In this presentation, I will only be talking about Copilot for Business. So if you're a company, the only thing you should be considering, only thing you should be looking at is Copilot for Business. Okay. Copilot for Pro is for personal use, and Copilot for Free, anything for free means what? Exactly. You're giving something away for it. The free version is like you going to the internet, taking whatever you say and put it on a social media blog, and everybody in the world can see it and ingest it, take it, and use it. So the free version is the Wild Wild West. The Pro version is specific for personal use, and it doesn't silo data for a company because they're not meant for that to be used for an organization. It's meant for personal use and use it for that and that alone. So for this presentation, we're going to speak specifically for Copilot for Microsoft 365 Business, because anybody that's running a business should take their company seriously and should use the right product that makes sure they're secure and they're doing the right thing for the organization. So Copilot for Business is what we're going to be talking about. So Copilot for Business gives you the ability now to silo your information and protect your information so it's not out into the internet. And you can also make sure that people within your organization can be restricted in what they do. There's things you have to do to get there to do that, but you now have those capabilities, which is why you're only focusing on those things. But again, what it also allows you to do is Microsoft Copilot for Business. That now, we talked about Microsoft Graph, where now it's integrated in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, at some point Forms, for all the platforms, Teams, SharePoint, all the data points within your organization. Okay, if you have access to it, you can actually allow AI to correlate that information. Okay, remember we talked about it. You're going to the library. Depending on the level of security in the library, you're able to see more books and you're able to access certain areas in the library. It's the same thing, but now it has access to that data, and I can do amazing things. Some of the incredible things that I've done is I've actually written up a rough draft of a business plan, took that rough draft, ingested into Copilot within my tenant, because now I know my business plan will not, nobody can ever see what I created with that business plan because that's specific to my tenant. So I'm securing that information. That's why I use the business plan. I've actually used that to actually write out a full-blown business plan and actually help and assist run on the value propositions based on that business plan. So there's a lot of power, a lot of things you can do that can help you from a sales side, a human resource side, a operation side, where, hey, you'd sit there for a long period of time trying to create this content with a little bit of guidance. You can allow Copilot to accelerate your ability to go to market because you can generate the things you need to move forward in a fast manner. So yes, the reason why I have this up is Copilot now can ingest information from all these different things, from all your different tasks. And again, I'm going to reiterate, I know I'm because people get scared and say, oh, it's going to see everything. It will only see what you allow it to see. It will only interact with what you allow it to interact. Again, yes, there's work that's involved to make it do that, but that's best practices for implementing Copilot. You shouldn't be going blind and implement Copilot unless you have a plan. Just like you should not have email unless you have security in place. You should not have people accessing data outside your company unless you have a plan in place. So you should always have a plan when you're implementing a new technology to an organization. You don't implement, then create a plan. You have a plan, then you implement. Okay. Let's dig a little bit more. What is Microsoft Copilot? Okay. Copilot is a platform that allows you to now go in and enable your organization to be able to create content, correlate data, get responses, and escalate your team on how they generate information and content and be able to move and accelerate faster because you're integrating with all these platforms and be able to pull information up. But I wanted to touch on a few things before you think about implementing Copilot and AI. Remember, I talked a minute ago about a plan. Some of the things you should be considering before you implement Copilot is your whys. Ask yourself a bunch of questions. What's your goal for using the AI? What are the pain points within your organization that you're kind of trying to address by enabling AI? What is your current AI capabilities? Does your organization have a data strategy in place? Again, data strategy is what's your plan? Because again, AI is looking at data and that's how it responds and gives you all this great information. But what's your strategy around your data? Who has access to it? What can they do with it? Is it categorized? Is it labeled? So now when you're accessing it, the right people are seeing and accessing the right things. Do you have a necessary infrastructure and resources to support AI initiatives? yes, there has to be resource enabled, and you have to have resources that doesn't necessarily have to be in-house. You can outsource it, but you have to have things lined up. What's the legal side of using AI? What's the technology side of using AI? Is your infrastructure ready for it? What's the um, HR or the operational? Hey, I have a new tool. I can't just throw it at my staff. There has to be some onboarding, there has to be some training, and there has to be, hey, this is how I best use within my organization. Here's the benefits of why you're using AI, how it's going to enable you to work, and how do we expect you as a how does our company expects you to use it in your day-to-day? Because anything that doesn't have guidance, somebody's going to do something wrong. And 9 out of 10, how most companies fail or they have problems because they never get guidance to their people. Hey, this is why I'm giving it to you. This is what I'm looking to get out of it. And this is your guidelines and boundaries within using this tool. Hopefully that helps everybody. There's some talking points, some thinking points for it. So let's talk about foundation need to be a Copilot ready. Becoming AI-powered business is taking 3 key steps towards a foundational productivity. Going back to it, empowering employees. Let's look at the first step. First things you need to do is introduce the benefits of value. I mentioned it a minute ago. You have to have a buy-in with the people there. Any tool, I don't care what it is, any new idea, any new resource that's applied to people, if you don't get the buy-in of the people around you, it's never going to be productive. And some of the buy-in is C-level, the higher ups. If you're in sales and you say, wow, I think Copilot is great, but you don't have the higher ups buying into it because they don't see the vision behind it, you're never going to get you're not going to get approved, you're not going to get the budget, and B, if they're not behind it, it's not going to be a driver within the organization. So as an organization, you have to empower people to say, hey, why are we looking to use this tool? What will AI do for us? How is it going to be productive? Because productivity affects revenue, it's dollar amounts, whether, hey, I'm going to be able to work better. So I have a workload that's killing me right now. On the employee side, I have a workload that's killing me right now. If I speed up my productivity, I have a little more time to take a break, catch my wind, and I'm more valuable to my company if I have a moment to think. Because when you're thinking, you're productive. Okay. AI is now going to reduce my workload because I'm working more productive. And now I'm able to go after a little more deals and I can do more for the company. Okay. For the company side, if my employees are more productive, then I can make more profit because productivity affects profit. If you know what, I have 10 people, I don't have to hire the 11th because I can now enable my people to work a little more efficient and they can do the workload of 11 compared to the 10 and still be comfortable and happy. I've just saved on my profitability as an organization. So how do I get my buy-in to my staff of what's valuable to them? Because what's valuable to the shareholders, to the board, to the executive is different from what's valuable to the staff. But once you get the buy-in, then you look at Copilot itself. As I mentioned before, Copilot can help your staff summarize PDFs, emails, generate images, learn new skills, get answers. Those are the things that help with the efficiency for the staff. So you get them to buy and say, hey guys, we're going to now help enable you, allow you to actually work more productive because enabling Copilot is going to allow you to do these things. They'll buy into it. They'll say, you know what, we want it. They'll work with it. Oh, here we go. This is what I was talking about. The free version, the pro is not there. I'm missing out the slide, but we kind of touched on this already, that we're right off the bat, we talk Copilot Microsoft 365. We talk about the business product for it. We already touched bases on the benefits, security. Copilot, data on the web. Microsoft 365 Copilot, that's your company data, and you have to correlate it. Keep in mind, you do have the ability to pull information from the web to do some things, but your data is not going out to the web because you may need to do some research with Copilot, stuff that's web enabled. You have the ability to toggle back and forth, but you're not sharing your internal data externally. Okay, you'll have access to things like ChatGPT 4, which is the latest iteration, and you have DALL-E 3 for images. DALL-E 3 actually will allow you, DALL-E 3 will allow you to create images. So if you're in marketing and you need to create content, you need to create an image, you can actually use that to create your logos, to create content for your marketing material. And keep in mind, one of the first things I ask that great is generating images, but is this image copywritten? Am I going to worry about copyright infringements if I use AI to create images? The answer is, as of today, no. Those images are unique, so you can use that and don't have to worry about copyright infringement because you're creating that image yourself. So that's phenomenal when you have to create content for PowerPoint, for slides, for flyers, for website content, that you actually generate those things yourself. Again, it's not, hey, just do it and it's just going to do itself. You have to give it some context, but it can create some great images for you. So let's talk about some of the things you need to do to actually prepare yourself. And that's talking about licensing. We're going to talk about licensing. We're going to talk about zero trust. Everybody that's using or considering Copilot, you can use it with basic, you can use it with standard, you can use it with premium. This is Microsoft 365 licensing. There's basic, standard, premium, E3, E5. I feel anybody, I'm giving my personal bias. This is from me building a lot of organization. I've been a CTO, I've been a CIO, and I've been a CEO. I've been in all the seats of C-level, and I've dealt with technology across the board. If you're a company that's serious, you should, sub 300 should have business premium. Above that, E3, E5. Reason for that is the security that comes along with that. Basic and standard does not give you those additional security tools that's needed for a business. The only person I would give a standard or a basic license to is maybe an intern that does not work internally within my organization, and all they do is web-based. The minute you have an employee that you have to consider some type of security leak, or they may be some type of security liability. I don't care who that person is. The minute they touch company data and you need to be responsible for it, they should be on a premium. That's my personal belief. I've been doing this for a very long time, but for the price point, business premium is the best license you can buy for the price point if you can get it. Once you go above 300 users, then you have to look at an E3 or E5. The reason why I'm mentioning this is, don't forget, one of the biggest threats about AI is the ability to see things that we're too lazy to see. Okay, I know I have data I've written. I've written stuff, and I probably most of you guys done this. Have you ever created a content, forgot where you put it, did a search, found it, said, you know what, I'll never find it there again, made another copy and put it in a different folder? I think I've done that so many times. I probably have multiple copies of stuff in multiple locations that I don't even know where that thing is. And imagine me accumulating that over the last 20 years of how much copies of different things. I can't tell you whether it's, confidential or not. I assume it's not, but that's an assumption. Reality is, I guarantee you I've copied some type of tax form and stuck it someplace in a folder that says do not delete. I forgot about it. It's 3 years later, and I don't remember that folder is there. So data, AI, where I may forget or I'm too lazy to find it, AI will find every single thing that you have generated that you have access to. So without putting a plan in place to saying, hey, how am I securing my data? And how am I making sure that the wrong person is not seeing a specific thing, for example, a termination letter, or, hey, I have an email says, you know what, I'm thinking get rid of Bob. And I wrote that 2 years ago. Bob started doing okay, and Bob is still working for the company now. He's improved, but I still have that email. And I shared that my email box with my secretary who left. And I just happened to hire somebody else who's in the same group. And now that person got advanced and they know the secretary, my secretary is now my salesperson. Okay. If I never change that privilege, that person still have access to that folder, has access to that document. So you never know what you've done in the past. It's never what you know that's the problem, it's what you don't know. So having the right license with the right security measures in place will now allow you to feel comfortable with how you're using AI because you know you've put the right things in place that even if you made a mistake, the security levels and the policy you have in place will segment and will control what people will see. So I'm harping on this because that's part of the prerequisite for AI. Hey, you need to have the right license, but you also have to now go in there and make sure, hey, who can access what? And it's something called data categorization. Purview is a great thing for Microsoft. We do that stuff all the time. It's looking at data, categorizing it, labeling it, and saying, hey, anything that has this, that's called accounting. Anything that's accounting is not allowed to be seen by these group of people, only by this person. And I don't care where that thing is. I could put it in a folder that says, hey, take this for free. Doesn't matter. As long as it has that label follows that piece of document any place in the world, and you can control who has access to it. So those things you have to consider. I don't want to beat this thing too much, but it's a serious thing you have to consider when you're considering AI, as well as security for your environment. So we're falling into our next topic, sensitivity data. It falls back into that licensing conversation I just have. Keep in mind, you're going to be using messaging. You're going to be using meetings. You're going to have chats. You're going to have file sharing. You have your calendar. You have your emails. All those things now. The great thing is AI has the ability to now respond and give you data and information and help you correlate your meetings, recap your meetings, do transcriptions, helps you create messages, helps you create documents, can schedule stuff in your calendar. But for it to be able to do that, it has to see it. And if it has to see it, then it also has access to that. Now, the question you have, you know you have access to it. The question you need to ask yourself is, do you know who else has access to your calendar that you forgot you shared that with 2 years ago? Do you know who has access to your meetings, to your messages, to your Outlook that you forgot that you gave them permission to it prior to that? That's where it comes into creating things like data governance. Data governance policies is something that you should implement in your organization as a prerequisite for AI. What data categorization is, or data governance is, it's looking at all the data. It's not permissions, not saying, hey, this folder nobody has access to. It doesn't care about folders. What it cares about is information. Because us as human beings, we say, hey, I'll give a good example. My kids know they're supposed to put their clothes away in their clothes drawer. Hey, this is the underwear drawer, this is the shirt drawer. Do they do it? Where is their clothes? On the floor. That's what we do as human beings. We know we're supposed to put things in this folder. Doesn't really work that way. Data governance says, I don't care where you put it. I'm putting a label on this piece of data. So if you have intellectual property, you label it intellectual property. So no matter where it is, where folder, I can put it in a email, I can drop it in a SharePoint, I can put it in my calendar, I can put it in a meetings note, but that piece of data is labeled as secure, and the only person who read it is this person. No matter where it resides and who tries to open it, only that person that's authorized can actually open that thing up. So data categorization is dealing with data, not locations, not folders. Okay? Because you may say, hey, my calendar, only this person has access to my calendar, and I attach something to my calendar and I forgot that somebody has access to it. if I had data categorization on that data that was added to the calendar, it doesn't care who has permission to the calendar. That data point, that person can't see it. So that's data governance. Something needs to be considered for AI. But one day I'll do a full presentation on data governance so people can understand that. I don't want to go too deep in it because everybody may not be ready for that stage of it and just want to read about Copilot and how to use that. So what I'm going to do is I have a demo of the Copilot, but before I go there, I have a QR code. If I give everybody a moment to scan this in, what this is a Copilot license survey. We have the ability to give away one free Copilot license to qualified companies because Microsoft is enabling company to try it out. And it's for the year. You'll have the license for the year. If not, then you pay $30 if you don't want to use this. But I have a free Copilot license for qualified companies. If you scan this QR code in, go to the site, complete the survey. If you qualify, we'll reach out to you, let you know, and we'll enable you one Copilot license, annual license for the Copilot, so you can go out and kind of use it in your organization to see if it's a good fit for you. All right, so hopefully everybody snap it. I give you a few seconds. Cool. All right, I'm going to move forward. And I'm going to kind of jump over some of these slides. I want to get to one of the key things I want to mention. There's a Copilot lab, and it talks about prompts. One of the things you really have to understand about Copilot, here's a good way to look at a Copilot. Think of Copilot as if you went to our college and got yourself a very, very smart intern from college. They know nothing about you. They know nothing about your business, but they're very smart. How would you speak to them if you wanted them to write you a document? Okay, if you wanted them to do a task for you, if they wanted you to analyze some piece of data, you would give them context. You would talk to them and say, hey, you'll understand they don't know you. Hey, you need travel arrangements. Hey, you know what? Book me a flight. I like nonstop. I like to leave in the evenings. I like to leave out of this airport, and I don't like this airline. That's context. What most people do is go to something like that and go, find me a flight, click and send go. Think about if you said that to that intern. That's a very smart intern, but they will give you a poor response because you did not give them the proper information to be able to help you. That's the same way you have to treat Copilot and AI. You have to treat it like that intern and say you have to give context. So if you want something written up, you have to get it within the context of what you want it written up for. And remember, garbage in, garbage out. So if you give garbage, you're going to get garbage. You have to give the proper information, the proper prompts, and give the context around what you want, and also the tone. Hey, I like to fly, coach, or I like to fly first class. That tells me my preference. What's the tone I want? Okay. Hey, I want write this article, but write this article formal, or write this article playful. Okay. Those are things that you have to tell AI. And if you do, they can give you the content that you want. But what I like to do now, I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm going to share another screen. Okay. I'm going to share another screen with you. Actually, wrong screen. I'm going to stop sharing there. I'm going to give me a second. Okay. Share the screen with you. And we're going to do a little exercise. I'm going to start from scratch. And what I'm looking to do is I'm going to create a PowerPoint presentation on anything. I like to wrap. I'm making this up, guys. I'm making this up. Okay. PowerPoint presentation. And I wrote something up prior because I said, let me do this. Okay. I'm going to say, I want to create a presentation I wrote this before we started, and it's random. I'm going to say, you see, I went in PowerPoint, I opened up Copilot, and in Copilot, I said, create a presentation about how to travel the world safely with a checklist of what to bring with you. I know nothing about travel. I'm not in the travel industry. That's not what I do. I'm going to put it in here. Let's see what happens. Maybe believe I need to create a presentation. There we go. It's coming up. And this with that minimal prompt. And I received a 17-page PowerPoint presentation. Presentation overview, Flying for Safe Travel with images. And if you notice, I don't know if everybody can see it, it gives me talking points for every slide. So it actually gives me the talking point for my presentation for my slide. 12 trees of medicine, electronics and gadgets, essential tips for staying safe, keeping your belongings safe, sans theft, staying alert, and it gives me a conclusion here. A full PowerPoint. How long would it normally take you to create something like this? It's something simple and basic. Hey, you know what? How about I do this? Let's add a slide on purchasing affordable airline tickets. Let's see what happens. AI, add a slide about purchasing affordable airline tickets. Did I spell it wrong? Yeah, look at that. Spelling things wrong already. There it goes. You see how the add a slide about? Because that tells it that's a prompt that AI understands. That's why I did add a slide on. It actually gives you examples of format that it likes. So let's try that. There we go. Personal affordable airline tickets. Add it into it. So let's do this. Because I don't want it there. Yes. Put it here. Okay. And let's do this. Organize this presentation. Let me have it, organize it, structure it in a format that's neat. There we go. It created sections. It's telling me the section is created. How to travel the world safely. Gave me an agenda. Broke it down into sections for each agenda. Insurance and health precautions with all the things for it. Packaging essentials. Travel docs and money and payments. Toiletries and medicine. Staying safe. Created all of that for me. So let me do this. I'm going to make believe I'm a marketing person. Again, this can be applied to, hey, create me a PowerPoint presentation. I didn't do it, but I could have said, hey, create me a PowerPoint presentation for a Copilot briefing targeting XYZ small business and talking about this, and would have created the content. So imagine if I did that. So let's do this. Let's save this, because what I want to do, save as, browse. Where can I put this? I'm just going to drop this in work area. How to travel the world safely. Save it there. Okay. Now, let me do this. Let me do this. I'm going to go open this sidebar up. This is Copilot. If you have it in your right-hand side, this is your Copilot. I'm going to ask Copilot things because I want to market this. I want to market this presentation for traveling. Okay. Identify 10 SEOs for a blog post to attract people 30 to 50 that would be interested in. And let me find where I just saved that. I'm going to reference that presentation I just created. Let me find, where did I put that? Okay. Copy as path. And interested in. Oh, I can do this. What am I doing the hard way? I'll travel the world safely. Boom. Oh, Sanoos, can I have it open? Let me close it out. I'll close this so we can actually use it. Open. Now it created SEO keywords to be used for that PowerPoint presentation. So let's do this. Generate a 1,000-word blog using the keywords, and let's reference that PowerPoint. Now I just created a 1,000-place blog based on the content I've just created. Now, if you're not in sales and marketing, we're gonna go, how does this refer to me? Think about using this for anything else. If you're in accounting and you need to write a report, or you know what, you're in sales and you have to generate, you have a template for a project. Instead of you writing that project by hand and you have to do the scope of work and everything, you can take an existing template, tell them the company, give them the context of the project. It'll use that template and rewrite it based on that new project. And you have to start from scratch on that template. So don't think narrow with this. And I'm giving this presentation more on, hey, if I'm just creating content for the internet, but think of the capabilities even for other areas. HR, hey, one of the worst things, and I've been the person to have to do before, is creating a job description. Good Lord, I don't know what to put in a job description. I can go in and type in, hey, give me the key, what's the proper word for it? The key skills. There it goes. Key skills I'm looking for this job position. I need to find a software engineer. What are the key skills around that? Okay, great. What are the top education level for this person? Great. Hey, based on these things, can you write me a job description to find a software developer within New York City, within California, within the East Coast, within the West Coast, within the US, or international, whatever you want to do it, give it the context. And now it'll write and generate that job description for you. And you're saving yourself time and hassle. But as you see, I've just created a 1,000-word blog. Okay. I can also tell it, hey, create a 100-word, you know what, let's do it. Create a 100-word let me try, how do I want to Okay, one word blurb from the blog post to post and create a linked. Let's see if this works. Linked in post. Our post, say for a linked in post with you know what? The caption should be friendly and relevant emoji. I can spell emoji. Let's see if I can spell emoji. Emojis. Let's see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see what happens. There you go. Planning your next venture, whether you're a seasoned traveler or just starting out, safety is key. Pop, 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 pop. Okay. Here's another thing that you can consider doing. Say if I wanted to find information about a company, why can't I go in? If I have a company name, I'll do it. Let's find it. Create a core value proposition for from the oh, let's try Microsoft. I don't know. Microsoft website and annual reports. Uh, to understand financial goals you know, actual financials, goals, and challenges. Why not? Let's see what happens. Don't know what's going to happen. Let's see what happens. Okay. If I was a salesperson, I can use this to get some type of idea about this company and knowing how I need to approach them. So I just want to give I'm going to stop sharing now and go back to presenting in Teams. Let me take myself back. My slides. Oops. So I just want to give you guys an idea of what you can do with it. Like I said, AI is going to be reinventing industries, personal care, finance, retail, manufacturing, you name the vertical is going to affect it. Being able to look at healthcare in a different way, quickly diagnose based on trends, be able to see a financial fraud based on interaction and data trends and risk assessments. Retail, they're going to be tracking it. Fortunately and unfortunately, you're going to be able to go to stores and they're going to know your historical purchases from no matter where you went. And now, if you're the type of person that like Levi's jeans, you walk in the store, all of a sudden, you know what's going to pop up? Levi's jeans. Because they know you have a tendency to go towards those things. And that's when you're going to start seeing in retail. Manufacturing as well is going to see a big push and change because they're going to have a better, more optimized supply chain. So we're going to have ways of getting things delivered more quickly, more efficiently, and they're going to be building things that's based on your likes and dislikes, just like how retail is going to be able to do that. So getting started with Copilot. I'm going to wrap up. I gave you guys an idea of what AI is. I gave you an idea of what Copilot's all about. I'm going to give you some links that I suggest you go towards. First and foremost, if you're interested in Copilot, we mentioned about licensing. We do a free Microsoft license assessment. This initiative is from Microsoft. They want to be able to enable companies to actually work more efficiently, and to do that, they realize that they may or may not be licensing themselves properly. So they incentivize us to actually go in and audit the license, make sure you're not overpaying, overspending, and underutilizing. Because if you're efficient in what you use, you'll stay with the product. So we can do a Microsoft license assessment. We also do Copilot readiness assessment. We talked about those things you need to consider prior to enabling AI into your organization. We'll come in and see where you are, see what your maturity level is, not only from the technology side, but also from a operational side, and give you an idea of some of the things you have to kind of step up or improve or change to be able to enable AI the proper way. And then we also have the ability to give you security, privacy, and compliancy advice when it comes around AI and enabling Copilot in your organization, and how to control what people can access, see, touch, and manipulate when they're using AI within the company. If you want, you can scan this QR code. It'll take us to the site, which is the URLs right there, Troynet.com, Copilot Readiness Assessment. And any questions, you can shoot us to engage@troynet.com. I did promise if we had time, we'd go through the chat, but I don't want to be long-winded and continue this longer than it needs to be. We're already over in our time. So any questions we have in the chat, I'll reach out and respond back to everybody. But shoot us an email at engage@troynet.com. Go to the URL, troynet.com/Copilot Readiness Assessment, and reach out to us about the Microsoft License Assessment if you're interested as well. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody attending. You have a good day. Take care.
Hi, Wayne. Eric wants the recording because he had, Gary Weissman. He had trouble in his connections.